Hi, welcome to Esther's Laguna Woods Show, where every guest matters. Today we have a very special guest. He's a scientist and his name is Michael Gaskin. And today we're going to talk about water. Hi, Michael.
Good morning.
So nice to have you here.
Thank you. I appreciated the opportunity.
Thank you for coming.
We've got a lot of things to talk about.
I know. So can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. I've done a lot of different things. I went to college and then didn't do so well, got drafted, went to Vietnam. So I'm a Vietnam vet, came back, went back to college, got my degree in marine biology. I taught school for a while. I went sailing on a big schooner. I ended up as a chemist in a water district and a couple of other things in my life, doing labor relations and stuff. But my heart still belongs to science.
Yeah.
And so I've always done things to learn more and more about science and the best knowledge that science has got.
So you want to talk about the Big Bang theory?
Well, it's because when you and I met previously, we kind of got off onto all sorts of strange subjects, and it goes all the way back to the beginning.
Yes,
This is the science viewpoint. I'm not going to pretend faith or anything else. This is the best guess based on evidence that science has, is that at one point in time, about 14.5 billion years ago, everything in the universe was at one point, and there was nothing that resembles us at all. For some reason, it exploded, released all kinds of energy and at a very incredibly high temperature, and over the next millions and billions of years, the universe began to cool and some elements formed, in particular hydrogen. And then hydrogen began to collect into gravitational centers. More and more hydrogen came in, and enough heat was generated to start nuclear fusion, which is hydrogen slamming together to make helium, and then hydrogen-helium slamming together to make lithium, and so on. And so all the elements on the periodic table, up to iron, are made in normal stars like ours. Our star ignited probably 4.5 to 5 billion years ago, and has another 5 billion years to go before we have to worry about it burning out. So the future fate, again, best guess by science, is that our sun will become a red giant like the star Betelgeuse in Orion, and then it will collapse and form a white dwarf. If it were a bigger star, it could become a supernova, and the energy released in the explosion of a supernova could, or does, make all the rest of the elements in there. But what that comes down to as a bottom line is that you and I are made of elements that were created in stars billions of years ago, which means that you and I are made of stardust. And I personally like the concept of being made of stardust.
So I'm a star, you're a star.
Stardust, the material. And the thing
Stardust.
that led to that, which again you're going to get over to water, was that you asked the question because you had seen something that we're drinking the same water that dinosaurs drank. And it's because, yes, all the water we have is what we have.
The same water circulates.
It's called the water cycle.
Yes.
Evaporation, condensation, precipitation, runoff, back to the ocean, back up,
So let's go back down to...
We go back to Earth. Back to Earth,
Back to Earth. So the water that we have in the kitchen faucet, shower, and toilet, does it come from the same source?
Right, there's only one input into your house for water. It all is water provided by the El Toro Water District, of which I am a director, but I'm not speaking on behalf of the district.
You're not.
But all that water is the same place. There's not a separate plumbing system to provide water for the toilet or anything else.
Okay. So since we don't have too much water here in California, if it's raining, what should people do with the rainwater? What do you suggest?
If they can capture rainwater on their own, either using runoff and having a rain vat or something like that, that's usable water. It could be used to irrigate the plants on your property or even your adjacent landscape areas here. It would help leach out some of the minerals that are deposited by the regular water. But what you save there would be relatively insignificant. It could save some, but in the big picture, the water districts and the water, particularly Metropolitan Water District, are all trying to increase the capture of rainwater in reservoirs. And that's a big issue right now in the state.
Okay, so does water expire because they have earthquake kits and there's food in it and there's water? Does water expire?
It depends on the water. Water itself doesn't expire, but if there's anything that was put into the container, any viruses, any bacteria that go into the container when it is sealed up, then potentially they could grow and it could expire. The thing I see in an earthquake kit is generally cans of 50-year water. So 50 years maybe in that case, but a bottle like this,
wow, 50 years?
But this, I don't know. This could be...
Because the thing can leak into it.
Well, the bottle itself is pretty impervious, but the water that goes in, and I have no idea where the source is, it could be coming out of the same tap that everything else is and going through a reverse osmosis system. It could be coming down a stream out of the Sierra Nevada, but then again, it still goes through a reverse osmosis process and goes into the bottle.
How often does the water being tested here?
Okay, our water that comes out of the tap, or your water, comes out of the tap, is tested within our district ourselves at 19 different sites every single week. And it's tested for bacteria, nitrate, nitrite, chlorine, fluoride, and I think one other mineral. And the results of those tests are public record. They can be seen any time that anybody...
So people, if they want to see...
If they really wanted to see what the results are,
there's a website?
Could. But, well, on our website, certainly our water quality report is on the website.
Okay.
And so that would be, and one was mailed to everybody as well, not long ago.
Wow.
And in the district has only had one positive bacteria test in the last 15 years. And in that case, the follow-up testing indicated that it was not a problem in the system. It was probably a contamination of the sample site.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah, because you have to be careful when you're sampling because you don't want to introduce anything into the testing. So the water that comes out of your tap is absolutely safe to drink. It's tested weekly, much more often than any bottled water. In fact, there is no federal or state regulation that bottled water be tested.
That's what I want to ask you.
Right, there is no control on it.
There's no control. Nobody is testing the bottles of water.
All you got to do is trust the retailer.
Really? Isn't that amazing?
And when I worked in a water district before as a chemist, out of curiosity, I took a couple of water samples from these water machines that you see in front of grocery stores, and you see people lined up to fill up their own containers, which are not disinfected or sterilized, and I'll explain the difference on that in a sec. And then it goes in those containers, and then they take it home. They figure it's got to be safer than what comes out of the tap, and that's absolutely wrong. And about a third of the samples I tested from these water things, and I didn't keep a whole lot of records, can't back this up, tested positive for bacteria.
Wow.
So there's no guaranteed safety, and in fact there's probably, if you looked at the machines real closely, there's probably a biofilm of some type inside the mechanism. And so it's just...
They come and check it, no? Those people that own this, don't they come and change the filters or anything?
I don't know. I don't know. I've also seen people who have put in water filtration systems in their own home, be it just a taste odor filter or all the way to a reverse osmosis system. Those work fine, but you have to maintain them. If you don't replace those filters, just like on your ice maker, if you don't replace the filter in there, you're going to start getting growth of bacteria and biofilm in there, and it could be potentially harmful to your health.
So how often should they do it?
It says right on the label how often to change the filter.
Oh, really?
And there's a place to write on the filter,
yeah.
to write the date you installed it. And I saw examples of people complaining about hydrogen sulfide or rotten egg smell coming out of their tap. And when I went to visit their homes, they opened up the sink, and there's this whole filtration system underneath that they didn't even know they had.
Oh, wow.
And they had never done any maintenance on it. So it was the source of the hydrogen sulfide, the odor, the foul taste was all right there under the sink.
Wow. Now, we get the water from Colorado?
We get our water from the Colorado River and from Northern California. And it's a blend that's provided by the Metropolitan Water District.
Yeah.
But most of it does come from the Colorado River, which drains 7 different states, all the way up to Wyoming.
Yeah.
Right? And that water comes here, it's delivered from Met to us, and that's the sole source of our water. We then test it to make sure it's got the right chlorine, and if we need to add more chlorine, and chlorine is added. This is a good place to go to disinfection, sterilization.
Yeah.
There are 2 words. Sterilization means you killed everything. And it's really pretty hard to do. You have to get things hot for a long time in order to kill viruses as well as the bacteria.
Yeah.
Disinfection is killing 99.999% of the things there, and to make the water safe to drink. So most of your water is all disinfected, not sterilized. There are situations where somebody's on a dialysis machine or something like that where sterilized water is essential, in which case the temperatures is just treated at very high temperatures. So disinfection, sterilization. Disinfection can be done at Metropolitan Water District at the Dimer plant, which where our water comes from. They run an ozone, which is a strongly oxidizing form of oxygen, and it's very good at sterilizing. But after that water leaves the plant, there's no longer any protection for it on the water. In other words, we killed everything, but from here on, there's no protection. So they add chlorine. And chlorine at very low levels, usually below what you can smell, is a very good disinfectant. And so it's important to keep that disinfectant level in our system so that we continue to protect the water. And so
water is my favorite subject. I love water. I really do.
It's a good thing. It's all, you're 90 or you're 90% or 88% water, you know.
I love water. Okay. What do you think about taking water from the ocean?
I think it's a very viable source of water when we need it, and in the future it will become much more important. There is an active water treatment plant, desalination plant as they call it, down in Carlsbad, at the lagoon down there at Carlsbad, and they are providing water to some of the surrounding cities.
From the ocean?
Yes, directly out of the ocean. And they run it through what's called reverse osmosis. It takes a fair amount of energy for the reverse osmosis, and the membranes themselves tend to clog up, so they need to be flushed, and it produces a brine that has to be gotten rid of somewhere. And there are different plants. Most of it ends up being diluted and put out to sea through an outfall of some kind for this brine, because you don't want to just put this highly salty water back into a pond or anything like that. But the water they produce is very pure.
Wow.
You know, and would be great water, except that water is the universal solvent. More things dissolve in water than in the strongest acids. And if you look around and look at it, water is the basis for all this stuff. So if you take this very pure water and you put it in your pipes, particularly if you have copper pipes, that water wants to dissolve copper, and it will. And it'll dissolve, if your copper isn't absolutely pure, will dissolve pinholes in your copper piping, and A lot of people who have copper piping from the 60s are now having to either retrofit or to run in a polyvinyl chloride solution to line the inside of their pipes to protect it from the water. But so actually Carlsbad has to add minerals back to the water up to a certain level, less than the Colorado River, but certainly up to a certain level, so that the water isn't so hungry, doesn't eat your pipes.
Isn't it amazing? It's stronger than acid, huh?
More things dissolve in water. And if you, we're going to take a left turn now. If you, down and deep in the earth, when the pressure is high enough, just like you can cook food faster in a pressure cooker, down deep in the earth, the pressures are enough that water can get to 4, 5, 6, 7, 800 degrees, really hot. And at that temperature, it dissolves almost everything and a lot of minerals, including gold, silver, copper, all those type of things. And when that water migrates away from this area, it goes up through weak points in the earth and forms veins, and that's where you find gold mines.
Wow, where is it?
From dissolved water.
Where's the gold mines?
There are a lot of them out in the desert. A lot of them.
Okay, so what is PFAS?
PFAs and PFOs, per and polyfluoroacetyl compounds, right? Yeah, that works. Close enough.
Okay.
PFOs, PFAs, they are everywhere. They are super slick. They're man-made. There aren't any found in nature before the 1940s. They're all man-made, and they're super slick molecules. One of the first ones was Teflon, PTFE.
Wow.
And so people started realizing, science first, and then the regulatory people, that these could be causing health issues. And so in the United States, on a voluntary basis, most manufacture has stopped since around 2000. But in foreign countries, China, in that area, they're still being manufactured. So anything imported could have these PFAs, PFOs. They would be on wrapping your sandwich in a piece of paper so that it's slick and nothing sticks to it, rather than having, the difference between wrapping a hamburger in a sheet of notebook paper. Right? So there's nothing slick. So these PFAs, PFOs are nearly everywhere, and they are persistent. They last almost forever.
Wow.
They break down very, very, very slowly. And you and I have them in our system, and if we were tested and measured, I don't know what the level would be, but
we all have it, huh?
We all have it. And
because it's in the food and everything, huh?
Well, everything you've eaten, touched, everything. And these are now beginning to be regulated. And they're being regulated to parts per trillion, which is an amazingly small number. 10 drops of water, eye drops, if we had the Rose Bowl full of water, 10 drops would be a part per trillion. It's phenomenally small, but we're measuring them to this level. And when I say we, our laboratory here is not qualified to do that test. The only laboratory, we're not even going to try.
Okay.
Well, the main reason, we don't have any.
Okay.
We don't have it in our water.
Oh, good.
We get all of our water from the Colorado River. The Colorado River water is tested for these, and it's zero. So the water that we're sending, that the El Toro Water District is sending to its customers has no PFAs, no PFOs, and so that's not a problem. Doesn't mean you're not getting them elsewhere, but we're not giving them to you.
Wow. So,
but some water districts, because of regulations that just came down from the state, are going to probably be shutting down up to 70% of their wells. Those cities up in the gravel areas of the San Gabriel River Basin, the Santa Ana River Basin. There was an article in the Times on it this morning, in the LA Times, on PFAs, PFOs, and the city of Pico Rivera primarily, but Central Basin Water District. And they're going to have to be shutting down wells. And so, but they're still going to have to supply water, so they're going to have to turn around and buy water from Metropolitan, which costs more than what it was costing to pump it.
So how is that they have it and we don't?
We don't have any wells.
Okay. Oh, it's come from wells. Okay.
Yeah, the source for the water is coming from the wells, and it comes from upstream contamination from prior manufacturing processes. And they may have stopped manufacturing them 20 years ago, right? But it's taken that long for the water to percolate down through the gravels to get all the way down.
So how can we get clean of it? Just drink a lot of good water to get rid of the PFAS?
It's probably going to decay with time. I don't know if there's any procedure or if it's necessary.
Okay.
The science on the health risk is young.
Yes.
But there are indications that, yes, it does cause cancers. It can cause some autoimmune diseases. Things like that. And so there is a health risk. They just don't know how much. But I think that the government regulatory agencies are being ultra cautious and putting these very stringent limits on these chemicals, just in case. We're just trying to prevent it. The only process that removes the PFAS, PFOs from the water is the reverse osmosis that I talked about before.
How is it done? How is reverse osmosis done? I mean, so
osmosis in the first place is a real common natural process.
Yeah.
Water moves in and out of cells in your body, cross membranes.
Yeah.
And basically the biological term is water will flow from a high concentration to a low concentration across a semi-permeable membrane.
Yeah.
Okay, so the thing that makes the flow direction in regular osmosis is simply the concentration of whatever element you're looking at that's in the water, and water is the carrier. Then reverse osmosis, because the normal direction is this way, the reverse osmosis is we're going to force materials through the membrane with using energy, some sort of electricity, going counterflow, reversing the flow across the membrane. And so these membranes have very, very tiny holes in them that block the passage of all these other minerals. Water is a relatively small molecule. I don't know if that answered the question, but reverse osmosis is a technology.
Right, it's complicated.
There are a lot of things that are complicated.
I wanted to ask you, what's the difference between tap water and bottled water? So you already
I'll go again, because there is
that.
no reason to drink bottled water for your health. The only reason is just for taste. If you like the taste of bottled water better, have at it. But pay attention to what you're doing. I don't know where this water came from, but when we met and talked at a local coffee shop. And I looked at their refrigerated case, and I pulled out a bottle of water, which was the same size as this, about 16 ounces. There are 8 of these in a gallon. Okay. And at that coffee shop, they cost $2.50. That would mean that you are paying $20 a gallon for water. And if you think that's economically good sense because you like the taste, then it's certainly your privilege.
So why does it taste why do water taste different?
Different waters taste because of the different minerals in them. Minerals come from natural sources everywhere. Rivers flow through geology, if you look at the Grand Canyon, you see all those layers of rocks. And in fact, the Water District, because that Colorado River, is delivering you your own little piece of the Grand Canyon right into your sink.
Wow.
So we're but the minerals come from that. In different areas, if there are organic chemicals present, you could get a slight rotten egg smell taste, the hydrogen sulfide. And so there are a lot of environmental conditions that change it. Water treatment plants do work to get that out.
So the minerals are magnesium and all this stuff.
Calcium, sodium,
sodium.
And calcium, sodium are really important to you in your nerve impulses, or they're sometimes called electrolytes.
Yes.
And because they have electrical charge, they can carry the charge. And your nerve impulses count on this exchange of sodium and calcium ions across a membrane, again, for the nerve impulse. And if you don't have the right electrolyte balance, your muscles don't work well. And most important muscle, you know, this one.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
Some bottles have
Minerals added?
Electrolytes in it. So.
Good. It's good marketing. It's good marketing.
It's good marketing, huh?
Mm-hmm. And why would you treat the water, take all the minerals out, and then buy water that has minerals added? But that's okay. Again, it's good marketing.
Okay, so do you think it's a good idea from time to time to get a test kit and just test your own water, whether it's this, whether it's bottled water or whatever?
I haven't really looked at any of the home test kits to know what they do.
Yeah.
There are several commercial laboratories around that will test water samples for you, $25, $30 for a test, depending on what you're doing. I haven't really researched any of the other kits that you can buy.
What's good, huh?
To whether
some
they're
of them
good
are better
or
than
accurate.
others. I mean,
that would be my guess, but again, I don't know.
Yeah, you have to.
And being a scientist, I'm not going to say what I don't know or have strong evidence of.
Yes.
So.
Okay. Which is the best reusable bottles? Would you think? I mean, let's say you take water from the tap, and then you go somewhere. You have to have a bottle with you. Is it glass, or should it be copper, or whatever?
Glass is probably the cleanest and the easiest to clean after you use it, to really keep it clean.
Yeah, keep it clean.
It's also fragile. And
it's heavy
and it's heavy.
Yeah.
So that leaves you with some of these aluminum cans, aluminum bottles, which again, people have belief that aluminum causes health issues.
Yeah.
So I don't know the answer to that one. There are also a number of the polyethylene bottles that, and you'll see they're BPA free.
Yes.
And so they don't leach bad chemicals into the bottle. So I would say they're all good to a point. All the
aluminum. I mean, I don't know about that.
That's exactly the reaction some people have.
I'm not comfortable with aluminum, and it's going to go to the brain or something.
Yeah, maybe cause Alzheimer's. I've heard that forever.
Yes.
Aluminum cookware causes Alzheimer's. I've never seen a study that actually showed the connection.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
I've heard the rumors.
Yes, I saw it. Yeah, too. That it's not good for.
But the water bottles. I mean, you buy a good quality water bottle, you're fine. I mean, there are these companies like Yeti and some other companies now that are making very high-end bottles out of stainless steel, which are probably
stainless
just
steel
fine.
Is the best, huh?
Stainless steel could be absolutely the best, and you can also make it and insulate it so your beverages stay cold or hot or whatever. So
wow.
And I when I mountain bike, I have a backpack that has a bladder in it with a bladder bag.
Yeah.
That I fill with water, and it has a tube that comes over my shoulder so I can drink from. So,
what do you think about boiling water? I mean, somebody
it disinfects it. It disinfects it just fine.
Yeah.
It also would boil off any of the chlorine that happened to be in there. So if you happen to be sensitive to chlorine, you can get rid of it. But again, if you boil that water and then you don't do something with it immediately, it's now unprotected. It doesn't have any disinfectant left in it.
Oh, so if somebody boils it, they should drink it right away?
Yeah, use it right away.
Wow, we're running out of time.
Well, it's been fun.
Wow, we learned so much. I learned so much. I mean, thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it.
Thank you for watching, and next time we'll have another interesting guest. Bye.